Yes, hello. You're very welcome to this edition of the Under Center podcast. Dara here with you, joined as always by my co-host Rian and Alex. Boys, how are you?
Fabulous. What better way to spend a Tuesday than talking about AFI?
I know, right? We didn't have a lot last week to talk about because we had this stupid fucking bye week, but we got tons to talk about this week. 7 games, Alex. Jesus, kind of going to be tough to try and keep score updates going this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Seven games. 2 on, what is it, 2 Saturday or 5 on the Sunday. So, yeah, that'll be exciting.
Yeah, that's right. 2 in Division 2 on Saturday. Then there's 5 on Sunday, 3 from the Premier Division, and another 2 from Division 1. Alex, you got the lucky bounce of the ball this week because you don't have to do score updates on Sunday because you're actually going to be playing. I almost got out of it, but I have to play on the Saturday. Someone else who's playing on the Saturday is our guest this week from the Causeway Giants. It's Mr. Ross McKenzie. Ross, how are you, pal?
Yeah, not so bad. Not so bad.
Excellent stuff. Looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah.
Wait until we go off the air to choke, will you? We kind of need you for this.
No, I can't wait to get started. It's been from July we last played because we haven't played yet this season. So yeah, cannot wait.
Yeah. Have you been one of those as well where you've seen, obviously with the group chat, other teams playing, you're kind of just smiling and being like, yeah, great, you played this week, and kind of been like, we have to fucking wait another couple of weeks with this bye week in between.
I was looking it up though because I heard from somebody within the board that the season wasn't going to start the first weekend of March, and then it did. So I had already booked a holiday with the wife and the child. So we were away that first weekend of March, so I was lucky that we didn't have a game that weekend, or there would have been a row. So yeah, happy enough. That's an extra couple of weeks training, just getting through everything.
Excellent. Yeah, well, look, that's it. And on the positive side, trying to be positive about it, it is more time to get ready, and it gives you more time to get tape, to review tape, more time to get work there. At training on the field itself. Overall, though, how has the preseason been for the Giants? We've obviously seen through your social media with the influx of guest coaches in the off season. Those extra sort of minds and those extra eyes on the team as well, giving advice must have been really helpful.
Yeah, no, that camp that we do, that's second year doing it. Last year, when Conan mentioned it, we were all a bit, whoa, what's this? Camp, staying overnight, 2 days of full training. Start training at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. Break the odd time for getting food and then back into it. The guest coaches were unbelievable for everybody. Last year we had 2 or 3 coaches. This year I can't even remember how many, but it was good. I learned more DB wise from 2 coaches in half an hour than I have in probably 6 seasons. The technique is so different with those boys too. It's just unbelievable. So Conan's already said next year is going to be bigger and better again. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. So, but
how? Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just a side. It's just bringing people in, obviously bringing more players together, getting through the playbooks again, and just working on it. And hopefully it all works out this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me, how are you and the other guys on the team able to convince the respective partners to let you go for a weekend for a football training camp?
Last year it was a bit iffy with me. The wife was pregnant and stuff, so I kind of just said no, I'm doing it. But this year I personally didn't stay over, but I was there all day Saturday, all day Sunday. It's just I had to come back down the road till the wee girl was teasing and stuff, and up the Hido up halfway through the night, so I couldn't leave the wife with her for 2 nights. So I left the house 6:45, 6 o'clock on the Saturday and the Sunday morning to drive up the Armoy, to train all day to then come home. So yeah, that's a challenge, but it's the sport.
That's it. No, it's a really, really interesting thing you do there, and I don't think anyone else in the country really does it. But it's fascinating.
I've never heard of anybody doing it. Obviously, you would maybe have like the odd weekend of preseason. You would have maybe a training session on a Saturday and then a scrimmage on a Sunday, but there's no staying over. Like our boys were up in Arboy from 6 o'clock onwards on Friday, and you weren't leaving Arboy again until was in around 4:30, 5 o'clock on Sunday evening. So long weekend, but the amount you learn in that weekend because it's so compact. Because obviously all your positional groups do their own thing, and then you bring in the positional groups, you go through all the special teams, you go through different positions that you might have to play throughout the season. So yeah, it's like, and even the togetherness of the squad too is huge. Everybody together for a weekend too, so it's definitely good to do.
Excellent. Well, we have plenty to look ahead to for this weekend. We're going to start with the Saturday games. And look, listen, as you are our guest, we'll start with the Causeway Giants against the Donegal Dairy Vipers, of course, in Lime Park. The Giants, like we said, it's their first game in Division 1 this year. The Vipers also coming off a 44-0 loss against the Craigavon Cowboys in week 2. So, Ross, we were talking there about pre-season and everything with the preparation and the guest coaches coming in now. From tape that you've seen, I don't know if you've gotten to see the first game, but previous tape with the Vipers and stuff like that and everything. What sort of game are you expecting on Sunday?
From what I've heard, with talking to a couple of Cowboys, is the Vipers are very hard hitting. I think most teams in this league are all hard hitting. Like defense is easier to run than a good offense is easier to get than an offense. So, as a defensive player, I'm hopefully stop them, but you never know. Offensive, like we had a joint training session with the Vipers. When was that? February, I think. January or February, I can't remember. So we travelled up to them for a wee joint session. We already had it sorted before the fixtures that came out, so we didn't realise we were going to be playing each other so soon. So it was literally just a training session. There was no scrimmage or anything, because obviously we didn't want to give away plays. So if we were playing each other so early, and then now we're playing them back to back here. So went up there, just trained together. It was just a normal training session, so that was good because you kind of got to see who was QB, who was the receivers. So it's good to see. Obviously, it's going to work the same way back, but I can't remember what numbers we had or what they had, but neither of us had a full squad out, so I don't really know what they expect. But I think there was a couple of our boys went up to watch the second half of the game, but I think the damage is already done in the first half, so I don't think they really got to see that much. But you never know. The Vipers have been going a good number of years, so hopefully it'll be a good game anyway.
Yeah, and lads, of course, we spoke to Vipers head coach Garrett Gordon last week, and he was adamant that the lads are going to give a much improved performance this week, and Alex, you probably know yourself best. You're probably best to answer this question because if you've made that step up from Division 2 to Division 1, what sort of game are Ross and the Giants looking ahead to in terms of that? Is there that big jump that they're going to sort of have to get accustomed to quite quickly?
I think there can be for some teams that come up, certainly, and we've seen it happen before. But I think that the Giants in particular are probably well set up there. I mean, they've got a great organization there, good coaches. You can see, from what Ross has just told us, they've been putting in the work. So I don't think it's going to be as big a step up as it otherwise might have been. You know, you look at the Vipers are a good Division 1 team. They've been in this division for years, so they do have good experience. That was a tough opening game, but at the same time, it will have tuned them up. You feel like your second game is always going to be better than your first game, no matter how the result went. You're just going to have shaken off whatever first match jitters there were. But at the same time, then the Giants will have had time to scout the Vipers. They'll have gotten footage. I'm sure that someone up there got footage, and they'll have been looking at how they can stop the Vipers and what might work against the Vipers. Whereas I was going to say the Vipers mightn't have a similar advantage, but given that they've done a scrimmage, maybe they know a little bit about each other anyway. I think it'll be a cracking game, to be honest.
Ray? You sort of know, obviously, from ourselves playing the Giants about 10 times a season with the Pirates the last couple of years. So I think you're one of the guys that kind of knows the Giants best. You know what they're good at, and after the result the week before for the Vipers, it's going to be an interesting matchup. Possibly, I'll let you speculate on this. Possibly, maybe one of the better matchups they could have asked for to start Division 1.
Absolutely, yeah. So for me, the Giants are a club that are on the right trajectory within the AFI. Coaching staff, obviously, there is excellent, and bringing in all these guys for the training camp, it's only going to make those guys better. The only thing about this game that I think the Giants need to be wary of is the fact that a wounded animal is a dangerous animal, and those Vipers are going to be coming in with a chip on their shoulder. They didn't put up any points against the Cowboys, so they're going to want to prove to the league that they can score points. They have a very talented quarterback by all accounts out there in Derry. So, yeah, it'll be a very, very interesting game to watch. I think even the head coach of the Vipers said, that they consider themselves at the same level as the Giants. And I don't think that's them talking themselves down. I think that's talking up the Giants, and rightfully so. They deserve to be where they are at the moment. So, yeah, it's going to be an excellent game.
Excellent. Fionn, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm flying around. I
late.
apologize for the late entry, but look, better late than never, and at least someone good looking is finally on the podcast.
Yeah, I know. We have Ross on.
Yeah, makes a nice change, doesn't it?
Yeah. Ross, we have some listener questions that I want to put to you. So first one that we have from Joe Buchanan is, who is your favorite elk?
Oh, Joe. Oh, Elks. Joe didn't play for the Cowboys one year. Played for the Ulster Elks for the flag. Along with the Shaw brothers. It was definitely fun. But favorite elk has to be the man Adam Stevenson, who actually doesn't play football anymore. Tried to talk him into playing kitted, but he's too busy with the wife's business, unfortunately. But Joe would be a close second, I suppose.
Okay. Does Ross prefer playing cornerback or linebacker?
Linebacker.
Okay. Any reason why?
With this league being so pass heavy or run heavy, sorry, cornerback sometimes can be a bit tedious.
So you're out in an island there. You're out in an island there by yourself as well at times. Linebackers for all the crack is,
Yeah, because I suppose I started as corner / safety, then moved into like more a hybrid role, and then was just more outside linebacker there for a few years. So linebacker's good, and definitely in Division 2 it was enjoyable now.
So why? So if you're so high up in the Giants, why didn't you just call for cornerback blitzes then all the time?
I don't think I'd be quick enough to blitz from corner now. Do you prefer? And there was one option left out of this, which I don't agree with, but
we'll let it go. Do you prefer Cookstown or Denny's sausages?
Cookstown all the way.
Mhm.
Hometown
Lads,
and all that.
I don't think you've had the I don't think you get to sample the super value or the super Quinn sausages up there. I don't think it crosses the border. So we'll have to sort out now. Now that you're on the show, we'll have to sort out that you get some of them, and then that'll change your mind for sure.
We just do care packages every game now. There'll be the teabag bowl, the sausage bowl, the fucking.
Well, see, you know what we could have done if you were coming down for against the Pirates this year. Obviously, we gave you pizza last year. We could have just cooked up a load of Super Queen sausages and sent you on your way with hot dogs. It would have been grand then after that. But
And real tails.
and real
we're gonna
as well.
we're gonna bring the league down now. You know, where customs police will just raid the AFI offices like it's been illegal imports and exports.
Right. Stu Wiley asked, which two teams? This is actually a good one. I like this. Which two teams are you most and least looking forward to playing this year? And why is it so? Why is it the Rhinos and the Mavs?
No, we'll play the Mavs off in the playoffs. Sure, don't play them.
Oh yeah, they're not regular season this year, for you, isn't it? No.
Sure, we'll get them in the playoffs. Most same. Stu asked the question, and I've said it before. I haven't obviously never got to play against the Razorbacks last year. I'm looking forward to playing them again this year. From the last time we played them to now, both teams are completely different. Still have that core of players that did have, but the difference in the setups are night and day in those 2 years. And it'll be interesting to go up against Big Stu again. So it will. Other team looking forward to playing. Jesus, who always
it has to be the Eagles, right? To get back at them for the ball
revenge game.
I suppose like you have the Eagles there with the Crusaders that we only played once in our first season, which didn't go well at all. We've never played the Rhinos. I played the Rhinos with the Jets, but that was 2016. Can't remember. But yeah, who am I saying?
You're giving away your age there by saying that, Ross, as well.
Who are we playing? I can't even think. We'll go Crusaders. I'm looking forward to playing them. From what I've heard from other people, just to see, and then at least go. See, I don't like that question. Sorry, I'll give it.
Your friends up the road, maybe your former team.
The Jets. I'm not looking forward to that now.
You'll not be welcome back with open arms, Ross.
No,
the diplomatic answer is that the one you're looking forward to is the next one. That's it.
I know. No, it's with playing the Jets and the Vipers twice. Obviously you'd look forward to every game, but when you're playing teams more than once, you're like, oh, again. Like when we used to play the Pirates all the time, you're like, oh God, not them again.
The feeling was mutual, for sure. Lads, I'll actually open that out to Alex and Fionn. That's an interesting question. Which two teams? Obviously that you used to have both played one game already, so discounting the two teams that you've already played, that which teams are you looking forward to and least looking forward to most playing?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the team most likely looking forward to playing is the team we're playing this weekend, the Cowboys. We've played them a good few times, especially in my first few years we used to play them a lot there in Division 1, and we've only ever beaten them in one game, but it was a bowl game, so it was a good one to pick to beat them. But yeah, definitely looking forward to playing them, kind of see how we stack up against them. And then least least looking forward to playing. Probably the Rhinos, because I don't know if we'll get away with 12 men on the field for a field goal again. We'll be well monitored. We'll probably get a few jibes for that one. So I say the Rhinos, and I really will hate to beat you, Dara, but I'll just have to do it.
You won't have to hate to beat me, because you'll hate to lose to me, but that's about it.
Either way, yeah. Either way.
I know. Fionn.
Yeah, I think same as almost kind of what Alex said. I think anytime you're in the chasing pack, or you've got aspirations of playing playoff football, you got to be looking for. If you're not looking forward to playing the best team in the league, then you're not in the right league. So I got to say it's going to be to play the Rebels. It'll be my first experience. Obviously, it'll be the biggest game probably I've ever played, or the highest level game I've ever played. But as I said, for this first season, I don't like to speak on behalf of the Panthers. Obviously, just joining. I think the lads deserve to do that themselves, that have been there a while. But I think it's fair to say the Panthers consider themselves the chasing pack. Definitely playoff football as well within our reach this year. And so if you're not excited to play the Rebels, then you really have to gut check yourself. In terms of my personal least favorite, Darry, you told me to discount it, but I have to say it was the Minotaurs, right? Your first game. Certainly for me, I'd never played higher than Division 2 except for the year we were forced to play Division 1 way back. So for me, it was the nerves of playing the first game more than necessarily the scheme or the team we were playing against. And I think always that first game, I think for every team, right, the first game of the season, it's more about trust than belief. When you're coming into the last few games of the season, you believe you're going to win these games because you've done it on the pitch and you've trained the whole season to do it. When it's your first game, you've got a lot of nerves, or at least I had a lot of nerves, and you're trusting the process that you did. But a lot of times you don't have a great bar of where the other teams are. There's not a lot of inter-squad scrimmages. Certainly within the Premier Division, you might play a team in Division 1. You might spar against the odd team in the Premier Division, but you never truly know what way the cookie's going to crumble that first game of the season. So, and like we've seen, there's a couple of teams now that the second game is under a lot more pressure than the first game because the result didn't fall the way they wanted it. So that for me is the honest answer of the team I was least looking forward to playing, was that first game against the Westmeath Minotaurs.
Excellent. Right then, for argument's sake, because everyone seems to be so well media trained here now on this, I'm going to have to go with it and say the next game is the game I'm looking forward to next. The game that I'm not looking forward to is
the last game of the season, because it'll be another 5 months before football comes around again.
Well, it won't be the last game of the season, but it'll be our last regular game of the season, and that will be up in Loud against the Mavs, because like that, it's going to break my heart to go up against Alex. And I see John is in the comments saying I have a target now on my back because of. So I guess that's the game now that I'm not looking forward to best of all. John, don't put a tag on my back. We'll have a pint and some pizza after. It'd be grand. Don't worry about it. Like
everybody everybody has to look forward to playing Mavericks and Louth pizza and all. Like, it's even if you do get hammered. Like.
That's why I think we were delighted when the bowl game was going to be in Loud. So we go watch the game, cover it, and then pizza afterwards. Sound.
Can I point to heart?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was driving that day, so I couldn't do that, unfortunately.
Jesus Christ.
You can take the man at the Dundalk. You can't take the dog at the man.
I saw that. I saw the Dundalk badge. I knew there was a heart logo in that screen somewhere.
And sorry, for argument's sake, it wasn't actually John that was saying it. I'm scrolling through the comments very quickly. It was Aaron.
Nah, the other half of the McArdle Meats brothers.
Yes, that's it. One on the left, the other one on the right.
That's it.
And then Alex in the middle. A few more questions, Ross. How long should you steep a white jersey after a game?
I don't rate like who else that. Fuck's sake. No, it's a running joke within the team because me being me and us in our white jerseys went down to the Eagles last year, and we had thunder and lightning, weather delay, 45 minutes. The tops weren't white after the game, so I kind of told everybody, steep your jerseys, change the water a couple of times, just keep steeping them. And now I get the hand taken out of me. So, but last thing, I want some boy turning up when we play the Vipers away with a big stain on their jersey from last season. So,
No, look, that's fair, and look, that's the downside. I know the white looks clean and it looks nice, but
it's what I kind of pushed for white for maybe regretting it now, but
yeah, Grant. Right, a couple of more quickly. Actually, Stu came back with a second question, and he asked, "What do you think of the new league structure changes and the addition of the plate?"
I like it. It gives, like, when you're coming into game 6, say, and you aren't making the playoffs, it gives you something to play for seeding for the Shield. Try to get a home game in the Shield, say. It'll be interesting to see come game 6 or 7 what way everything is sitting. But even for the SBC as well, like, it gives everybody more football, because there's last season I played 3.5 games because of the way the structure was, and then with being injured and things. So I just want to play as much football as I can. If we get to play 10 games, so be it. Hopefully, anyway.
Yeah, and look, I agree with you there on that. Because when you look at it in terms of doing quick maths here, the 17 teams this year, only 3 won't play any sort of postseason football. Is going to be, is it? No, 2.
2, yes.
Yeah, 2.
Yes.
2, because it would have been 3 if the Pirates are still there, but now it's 2. Yeah. So 2 teams will not play postseason football this year, which is a great thing, because look, I know it was kind of weird last year in Division 2 that like every team made the playoffs, but actually being in that playoff environment, getting ready for playoff football, knowing it's knockout football, is a good thing. For players, it is a good thing for experience as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. More games the merrier. It gets everybody more game time. Like even say it comes till game 8, you know that the position that you're in on the table, you can't go up, you can't go down. It means then you can start throwing in different plays that you haven't used throughout the season to see if they work. You can put people in different positions to see if it works. Things like that there. So yeah, it's definitely good for everybody.
Yeah, it's just going to make lads that last 2 game weeks, you could even say, so interesting in terms of, so and so has to win to make the bowl playoffs, or else they could be dropped down to the playoffs, and you like not knowing where you could be going for promotion or not is definitely going to be exciting in both leagues coming towards the end of this regular season.
Oh, definitely. Where we at last? We're down the Eagles' last regular season game, which both of us being Division 2 last season, you never know what that game could come down till something. So
yeah,
definitely interesting.
Excellent. Look, we have one more, and then we have to get into the rest of the games because there's so many games this week. So this is from, actually we have 2 more, sorry. This one very quickly though from Dan Finley. The Giants are maturing over the last few seasons and earning their spot in Div 1, with the standard of Div 1 getting closer to SBC year after year, and also SBC teams coming down like the Cowboys and Rhinos. Is the playoffs or even SBC promotion on the goal list for the Giants, or where does Ross see the club this year and years to come?
Not this year, personally speaking. I think there's a few boys maybe saying we should, but I say if we continue the way that we're going, the way that we're growing, obviously SBC is the target. When that will be, I don't know. But I personally would like us to make a push. Obviously, get in make sure we get into the Shield anyway, but make a push for the full playoffs. If we don't reach it, so be it. We'll go again next year. But that's just me personally speaking. I know there's lads in the team really want us to try and get into that top 4, but you never know what's going to happen in this league. Like, we don't know much about a few of the teams. A lot of the teams don't know anything about us, so I can work both ways. But we'll be going out to win every game, obviously.
Excellent. And last question is from our friend down in Limerick, Evan Quigley.
Oh God.
Feet for hands or hands for feet?
How
I'm
did
not
I know?
answering this time because I got in trouble last time with it. So
Turns out you're ableist, Dara.
Oh, how did I know that was coming? There's no logical answer for that. Like, it's just not. It's really not. I don't know. Well, I'm not even going to say what I'm going to. I'm not even going to. I get slagged off quite often for having toes for thumbs, like, so. Kind of hard to say it. Somebody else is going to come in there. So.
All right. Oh God. All right. I can't get away from this. But it's always that. And I'm going to get in trouble again over this now. I don't need this anymore. Right. Let's move on then to the second game for Division 1 on Saturday. Hold on, let me just load up the preview here that I have, which decided it doesn't want to work. There we go. It's down in Newbridge, of course, the Kildare Crusaders against the Dublin Rhinos. Both teams, of course, were beaten in the playoff semi-finals last season, and both will be looking to go a few steps further this time around. It's the start of a mini 2-game series between the two. They play each other this weekend and then again on the 14th of April there in Castleknock. Crusaders, of course, have added help, of course, of Wello at in their running back room, and we all know how good their offense is with Jordan Farrell under center. Lads, I'll open this up to all of you here. Out of both teams, which would you give a better chance to going further in the playoffs this year? I'll start with Fionn.
Stroke my ego, please.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
don't. Diplomat, don't even look in the background there. Just be honest and just remember your future's on the show is at stake.
yeah. Look, as I've said with all the other teams, I'd love to see them first game of the season. It's a tricky one to judge. I think if you're looking at this first game, I wouldn't be surprised if this series is split. And the difference is the home team wins both of these games. Now, that's not the question you asked me. So I'll get up. The question you asked me was, who do you think is going to go further this season? You know, without seeing either of the teams, if you ask me just on pure instincts, I'm just going to say the Kildare Crusaders. I've seen the Rhinos. They're plenty able to play at this level, and so are the Crusaders. So I don't know. I think Wello coming down, having that star running back, if you want to say that, or at least a running back with the experience that Wello has, let's say, because at the end of the day, it's still an offense. You can't just hand the ball off and expect a touchdown. But it certainly adds a dynamic. Both teams have great quarterbacks, and I know the Rhinos running game doesn't necessarily, and I'll probably insult one of your teammates here, Dara, but doesn't have a standout name, but having ref the game, they are very capable at running the ball. And at least in my memory, it was by committee, and it was doing it in intelligent ways, scheme-wise, and drawing up plays that get effective yardage. But I think at the moment, at least until this first set of games is over, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Kildare Crusaders to go just a little bit further than the Rhinos this season.
Okay, fair enough. Alex?
Yeah, I love the way you framed this sort of question. You said it in
We're both great, but who's greater?
Who's greater? It's like, no, I know we lost both games last year, but could we frame this question in a way that you'll answer it, Dublin Rhinos? I think it's
I've got the host hat on, not the Rhinos hat, right?
Yeah, fair. I think it's a cracking matchup anyway. Really looking forward to seeing how it goes. In terms of the overall season, it's a tough one. I think, I mean, they were both there last year, 3 and 4, 3 and 4 slots in the playoff season. So, one of them, I suppose, wants to go one better than last year and at least get into that bowl game. I'm going to give the nod to the Rhinos if Ethan Foster can stay fit for the whole season, which we obviously all hope he can do. I think that will maybe give them the edge that they were maybe lacking toward the end of last season. It just didn't give them that extra push. Like, they lost some very close games. I think they lost to the Crusaders by 5 and 3 points. They lost to us by 1 point on a 12-man field goal. Never let them forget. So it was like, that is tight margins, and not having your starting QB in there, like, you got to think that takes away a couple of points off your offense. So I'm going to say that the Rhinos have the better chance this year with a fully fit roster and QB1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go along with Alex on this one. The QB was a guy I was really looking forward to seeing what he could do last season. I think he only got like 1 snap into the season before he was injured. I can't remember, to be honest.
I think he played the first 2 games, and then it was the third game. It was the Crusaders. I think he was hurt in that one, if I'm right. This is off the top of my head.
Yeah, well, look, he's a really dynamic runner of the football, which is a huge help. And I believe the Rhinos kind of schemed around that, and the backup is just not as athletic. Coming from a non-athletic QB, there is no shame in that. But when you have a scheme based around an athletic quarterback moving on to a less athletic quarterback, it can be difficult. You're limiting yourself playbook-wise. So, like Alex said, if Ethan Foster can stay fit and healthy the entire season, I think the Rhinos go further in the playoffs than the Crusaders.
Okay. Ross?
I really don't know much about either team at the minute. So I really, really don't. But I've heard the Crusaders are decent enough. I know both teams are decent. But I haven't seen either of them play in years, really. But I'll be different. I'll go Crusaders. But they both have to travel up to Arboy, which won't be a long day for them.
Sure, I'm used to it. It's all right. It's not bad. It's a grand day. Like, it's a fine grand day, and you feel as well afterwards, so it's always good.
That's the main thing.
I used to hate getting back to Dublin at like fucking 9 o'clock at night. It was rotten. Just the worst.
Although the last time? No, it was the regular season game. Remember that like 7-6 one last year?
Mm-hmm.
Coming home from that was mental. Because we had a few rookies, and it was their like first bus trip away.
Oh yes, yeah.
And Jesus, that was a messy one now on the way home for sure. A few lads probably weren't allowed to take the bus then anymore after that. But actually, we never got into predictions for the first game, so I'll get predictions for this game. For the Rhinos game, then we'll go back very quickly for the Giants. So, Crusaders against the Rhinos on Saturday at Newbridge. We'll go with predictions. Ross, since you're a guest, I'll go with you first. Who have you got this Saturday?
I'll go Crusaders. They're at home. If their pitch is the same as what it was, only they can play on it. That pitch is like the grass is 6 foot tall, like, from memory. So hopefully they've cut it for you.
Rain.
Yeah, it's a tough one to call. I mean, we're going into this with absolutely no idea what either team are going to look like for the first drive. So, yeah, it's a tough one to call. I'm going to give it to the Crusaders just because they have home field advantage in this one.
Alex?
Yeah, I think this is developed into a great wee rivalry recently. That's the infamous circus throw match, where comments by the Rhinos that Jordan only makes circus throws, and then he threw one over them as time, the time expired, and he won the game last year. They've also added a former Rhino in Wello, as we know. So I think they're probably the more settled side. The Crusaders, the Rhinos have a couple of Pirates players in. Ethan's back in at QB. A couple of changes at other skill positions. So I think maybe that settled team maybe makes a slight difference. And in a tight one, I'm going to say Crusaders win 22-21. Jordan Farrell with a 2-point conversion to win the game, and he goes full Emmanuel Adebayor, runs the length of the field. Just to stick it up the Rhinos, because when Jordan's wound up, he can't turn it on. So I'm going to back him in that one.
Yeah, look, I set up my prediction a little bit earlier on. I wouldn't be surprised if this series is split down the middle and it goes home team. So with the Crusaders at home, I'm going to take them to win this first kickoff game for them of the season.
Right. And I am going to abstain. So
fair enough.
I'm not tempting any fate now this week. There's Thursday. You'll find out Saturday.
Be there. Be there.
Starting at QB number 66, Daramar.
If that happens, pray. I will also try to do a full Emmanuel Adebayor. I will only make it about to the 20-yard line, and I will die of
Do they have oxygen on the sideline of these teams?
Especially trying to wade through that 6-foot grass. It becomes
exactly. You won't see it.
That's the case. We'll go quickly back to the other game, the Giants against the Vipers. Predictions. I'll go first on that one. For me, I think it's going to be it is tough. It is tough. The Vipers are not as bad as the scoreline made out from week 1. It's tough coming up from Division 2. Kind of an unknown. But I'm going to slightly edge it. And because our guest is here this week, I'm going to slightly edge it and give it to the Giants for maybe a 3-point win. It's going to be very, very close. Fionn?
Yeah, look, it worked well for me in week 1. I think I always lean towards when you're coming up, you've got to prove it first. Not saying that they can't, but until we see the Giants on the field, you can't prep any better, as Ross already talked to. They had a fantastic camp. Doesn't get much better preseason prep than that. But look, the reality is it's Division 1. It's new territory for them. It's new territory for us, seeing them there. So I'm going to take the experience first, and we'll see if they can prove me wrong. I'm going to go and take the Donegal Dairy Vipers in this one.
Grand. Alex?
Like you, Dara, I'm going to glaze our guest here and say 16-14 to the Giants. Ross McKenzie safety to win the game.
That's a woeful turn of praise.
For me, this game comes down to the first half. So obviously the Vipers have a bit of that rust knocked off already, having already played their first game. So if they can jump out to a lead in that first half, I can see them probably hanging on towards the end as the Giants get back into it. So I'm going to take the Vipers in a close one on this one.
Okay. Ross, I don't think I need to ask you, do I?
No.
Actually, I meant one question I need to ask you, actually. You said you had your scrimmage with the training session, with the Vipers season. Was that at their place or yours?
Theirs.
Right. So they haven't had an experience playing on line field yet.
No, they have.
They have, haven't they?
Yeah.
They did during COVID for the little tournament, wasn't it?
Yes.
Not little tournament, sorry, but yeah.
The Donegal Cup. That when we hosted, we actually played the Vipers. Which just that day it just came down to experience. So it did.
Yeah. Okay. Grand. So they do know what they're in for anyway, for sure. That's okay. I'm still going with Giants either way for that one. Move on to Sunday's games. We'll start in the Premier Division, and because Fionn has so graciously come on the show, so that I don't have to quote him, we'll start with the Belfast Knights against the South Dublin Panthers. Fionn, you're not even actually playing in this game.
No, we've got a family wedding, so I'll be over in Ingerland. I won't be able to join the lads for this game. Really disappointed because I think everybody started off well this season. A big priority for us will be to progress. Obviously, with Coach O'Sullivan, everything is new for us, so we're kind of developing as we go. And as happy as we were with the performance week 1, I think it's going to be important for us to progress. In a very kind of media trade answer, that's kind of as far into it as I'm going to do. We're going to really focus on our own game, all 3 phases. The Knights are a perfectly capable team. They've been in the SBC for a plenty long time. Last year was a challenging year for them, so they'll be looking to come out all guns blazing. We feel like for us, the priority is to make sure we play better than we did week 1. And if we can do that, I think the results are going to go our way. It's important to keep the momentum going at this early phase, and that's really all we're looking forward to. We're not really looking at any other games that are going on. We're not looking too much at what needs to be done. At the end of the day, if we can't take the steps to get better, the whole season's going to be a struggle, and vice versa. If you can win every game, it doesn't really matter what happens around you. You're going to make those playoffs. So as I said before, playoffs has to be the goal for us this season. So this is step number 2 on the way to that, and that's what we're really going to be looking forward to.
Mm-hmm. Alex, it was a really good win for the Panthers week 1. This is going to be a different type of matchup this week, especially against the Knights, whose trenches are probably one of their strong point, and that is especially where the game's going to be won and lost. Of course, with the likes of Robbie and Spence if he's playing on the defensive line this week. We saw how good Finn was week 1 as well. The defensive line of the Minotaurs were not really able to get the pressure that they would have liked on him. So I guess the important thing for the Knights to win this game will be to get pressure on Finn and to stop him from escaping the pocket.
Yeah, as you said there, it's real case of strength versus strength this weekend. SDP, great offense, looked really good against the Minotaurs. And then the Knights are well known for having that good defensive line there. They'll be out to contain and just whoever wins that battle, a key battle really, I think will probably determine or go a long way to determining the result there. At the same time though, even if the Knights win that defensive battle, in the trenches, Finn could just do something ridiculous and take it to the house and still end up winning the game. So, I'm sure they'll have a plan in place to beat them, but I'm not going to bet against them this week.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, Rian, go ahead.
I was just going to follow on. I was just going to say, I always look at the around the start of the season, the rust factor. The South Dublin Panthers have kicked the rust off versus the Minotaurs. This is going to be the Knights' first game. Looking at form, just based on last year, the Panthers were in the playoffs or possibly should have been in the playoffs, whereas the Knights were down towards the bottom of the field. I can see this one being a tough one for the Knights. Obviously, no shame in that. The Panthers are one of the better teams in Ireland at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Ross, you sort of know well up north with the northern teams, and the Knights. They've been sort of on the precipice of relegation the last few years. Like I mentioned there with Alex, they somehow get these absolute giants to play on both lines, which is a huge factor in keeping their Premier Division status. But there's a time where they're going to have to start moving on, and from what you've seen or heard this offseason, do you think that this season could be a moving forward season for the Knights, or is it another sort of season where you think they just have to stay above the waterline just so that they can stay in the division for another year and then build next season?
From what I hear, this new young QB that they have, they're really going to try and focus around him. From what I heard, he does have a cannon of an arm. I think he played a few drives last season. I'm not really too sure. I've never really watched much of the Knights, to be honest. I've only ever played against them on flag. Our boys went to them on the 3rd of March there for a scrimmage. I wasn't there. I was on holidays, unfortunately. Would have been good to have went to, but apparently from our boys, the way they're saying, it was really, really good even for us to learn off an SBC team. But I think they just need to try and keep their head above the water this season, just avoid the relegation and focus on this young quarterback for next season again. But I can't see them beating the Panthers this week.
Okay. Well then, so we'll go straight in then. Predictions. You're going with the Panthers then, Ross?
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah. Rain?
Finn Kearns is just too good. It's going to be Panthers, and it's going to be by a lot.
Okay. Alex?
Yeah, I have Panthers 30-14.
Fionn, are you giving us a prediction, or are you gonna?
No, I'm gonna
technically
abstain.
playing.
I might point to the so-called experts that were on the call last week. The lads got a lot of pleasure out of that one. I have to admit, if anyone who followed the Panthers online, there was a nice little jab there. Thankfully, I don't think it was aimed at us. At least I hope it wasn't. I think we were fairly kind. We didn't predict anything wild, but yeah. So I'm gonna leave it there, and we'll see what the experts go with.
Fionn, whoever said we were experts?
Certainly not us, and that's why I don't think they were talking. I don't think anyone would confuse us with experts. That's for sure.
I love to throw like a wrench into this and say the Knights, but until I can see something this season from the Knights, I'm only going on speculation, and I can't really, back them on speculation. So I've seen firsthand. I've seen obviously the Panthers play and how good the Finn has been, especially, and not just Finn, but Luke Carey, Connor Hoskins playing running back there was really good. Sean Goldrick played really well as well. So it's not just Finn on the offense. They do have multiple weapons. They've got the cleanest safety in the league as well, who won't be there this weekend, so that's going to be a loss. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to go with the Panthers as well, and we'll see if they can come away with the victory. They did beat them last year, so hopefully they're looking for more of the same. UCD against Cork Admirals. UCD coming off a good win. Week 1 against the Dublin Rebels. Cork are coming up to Dublin, sort of, still upset, maybe could be the word, after blowing a 24 nil lead, I should say. They blew that to draw with the Vikings in week 1, 24 all. Alex, I'll go to you first on this one. The last time they played was the Shamrock Bowl semi-final last year, which was extremely one-sided in UCD's favor. Are we expecting more of the same this week?
I don't know. I tend to think that it was going to be closer. I think this has been a good underrated rivalry post-COVID. I think they've played 3 regular season games since, and Cork have won 1, UCD have won 1, and then they've had 1 tie. 28 all. But then in the 2 semi-final games, UCD have unceremoniously whooped Cork in both games. So I don't know, did they just turn it on in the semi-finals? Did they maybe think that they're going to play Cork, so in the regular season maybe don't give away everything? I'm not entirely sure why the reason is for that, but I think Cork they'll be going up there. They'll be eager to show that like second half sort of fading that they did against the younger UL team was a one-off, because UCD will be ready to play 4 quarters of fast-paced football, and Cork will have to be ready. They'll have to be ready to keep up with them if they want to stand any chance. Their QB Jake Kennedy, assuming it's still him, no word on the return of Stephen Hayes, but he'll have had his first game out of the way. He'll want to improve, and you would think a young QB will improve every game he plays. So I think Cork are definitely in with a shout in this game, but I still would give the nod to UCD.
Rain, What are you thinking ahead of this game? Are you sort of in the similar boat? Are you leaning towards UCD?
Yeah, for me, the Admirals got to be a bit demoralised with how things fell apart at the end of that first game of the season. And then on the flip side, UCD first game beating the champion Rebels in what was an electric game. Motivation has got to be high there in the UCD camp. They're also at home, so they don't need to travel down to Cork. That travel is a major factor in this. So, yeah, to be honest, I think the momentum is with UCD, and they'll be able to use that to win this game on Sunday.
Ross, as someone that has to travel down to Dublin and had to travel down to Wexford, are you in the same boat as Rain? Do you think that the travel up from Cork is going to be a factor, especially now too that this is actually a 1 p.m. kickoff, so they're going to have to leave that slight bit early too?
I couldn't even tell you how long it takes you to get from Dublin to Cork, to be honest. So long.
I need 3 hours, 3.5 hours if you stop.
So, well, a 1 o'clock kickoff. It is an early start. Like, I know we'll go down. For us, go down to Wexford. Luckily enough, it's our only big journey down south this season, so it's the last game. But travel, I know some people say, "Oh, it's only travel," but it does take it out of it. Definitely does. But especially the way UCD's going to, like, I think it'll be a long day for Cork.
Yeah, it was a really good start for a UCD team. We'll get into predictions on this one. Fionn, let you go first on this one. Who are you going?
I honestly don't see this being too close. I'm gonna say UCD by 3 scores.
Okay, Alex.
Yeah, I'm going to say UCD 34-14.
Rain?
I'm going to say something similar, maybe a few more points for that UCD team, say 44-14.
Okay, Ross?
Yeah, UCD, like, it won't be tied.
Okay. I'm going to go, it's going to be a clean sweep. Yeah, I'm going to go with UCD on this one too. I'd like to think that they'll keep it somewhat close, Cork, with a couple of scores. But we'll have to wait and see how things progress on that. But I definitely a good day at the office in store, hopefully for UCD, and especially that offense. Interesting game now. The last Premier Division game to look at. We'll try and get through these a little more quickly as well, because we want to obviously dedicate some time for some of the Division 1 games. The Vikings at home against the Rebels. The Vikings, of course, coming into their 3rd game already this season. They're looking to get back on track after a tough loss to the Trojans 2 weeks ago. On the other side, the Rebels are coming to Limerick after stewing in their opening day loss to UCD for the last 3 weeks. Seeing some of the stats from the Trojans game and seeing, what the Rebels were able to put up against UCD as well, I have a slight fear for UL in this game. I especially Rain, I think you mentioned it with the Vipers earlier on, that the sort of wounded beast. And especially with someone like the Rebels, you don't want to give them any more reason to want to win a game, especially after coming off a loss against probably their biggest rival. But Rain, I'll start with you actually first on this one. This could potentially, if UL don't hit the ground running from the very beginning, this could get out of hand, if the Rebels show up and really mean business.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. UL, in terms of bounce back games, this is your least favorite team to go up against, because we know the Rebels' mindset in terms of, they're going to want to make a statement in this game. They're going to be all gas, no brakes. And unfortunately, I do see that leading to a very big scoreline. I hope that the the Vikings can put up some better numbers against the Rebels. I believe I heard, I don't know how true it is, that they only had 1 first down against the Trojans in their first game. The Rebels are a little bit better than the Trojans, in my opinion, so I don't see this one going well for the Vikings.
Yeah. Fionn, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I have a slight terror, Dara. You have a slight fear. I have slight terror. I unfortunately, the greatest of respect to the UL guys, but look, you're coming up from Division 1. The Rebels have dropped game 1. They're certainly going to make sure they don't drop game 2. You're coming off a back-to-back game. This is your 3rd game, I think, game week in a row for them, isn't it? Bar the week off we just had.
Yeah.
So the bodies are going to be bruised. There's not many more bruising teams to play against. I think the Rebels started with the run game, and then towards the end of the UCD game, remembered how great they are at passing and started to bring that into the game. That's going to be hugely difficult to defend their top team. I am afraid I don't think this is going to be particularly close. I'm going to take the Rebels in this one.
Yeah. Alex, you know, I don't want to be too down on Limerick. It's you know, it's really, really tough welcome to them to back into the Premier Division, you know, with Cork, then the Trojans, now the Rebels, and then just to round it off, it's UCD coming next after that too. And, you know, we talked about having the rust taken off by playing already, coming into it against a team that hasn't played, but having 2 games in a short space of time with a week off in between against then the defending champions, which probably, you know, the loss against UCD could have been the worst thing that happened to UL in terms of, you know, they've got a team in the Rebels, a defending champion, coming in with extra motivation to put things right.
Yeah. Well, look, they have had the bye week there, and you know, I'm sure the students there were all very sensible. I'm sure it was meditation and healthy eating all weekend, all bank holiday weekend. So they're fresh faced and ready to face the defending champion Rebels. Maybe like all good students, they'll text their mates up the road at UCD, try and copy their homework. See if they can just crib off their notes, and maybe they'll learn something that can this is the key to beating the Rebels. Look, but being serious, I think it's a very tough ask for them. I think what they'll want to do is they'll want to improve the offensive output, as Rian mentioned below. The story is 1 first down against Belfast. They'll certainly want to improve that. They'll want to break into the end zone. The result may not matter. Of course, they'll go into it wanting to win and thinking that they can win. But maybe the result here isn't really what the bigger thing will be. It'll be, can they get some offense generated, go on a long drive, and keep the score at least respectable. And I think, meanwhile, you are trying to keep the score respectable against the Rebels team that are raring to get out there and prove that they're not on the decline by any stretch of the imagination, that it was just the usual. They lost to a good UCD side that are always matching up well against them, and they'll want to put on a strong showing and probably emulate what Belfast did, because they don't want to go into it and being like, oh, Belfast did more, you know, they lost to UCD. Could Belfast be, you know, breaking into that top 2? They'll want to just lay down the marker and say, no, we're still, you know, the gold standard in this country, and it's us in UCD, and then the rest, you know, are well behind. So I think they'll be out with a point to prove, and I hope that the Vikings can put something good on film and get ready for the back half of their schedule, which is a little bit more relenting, I think.
Yeah, Ross, that's an interesting point that Alex brings up as well. Like, it's the way to view this game coming up is, you know, start with these, not so much baby steps, but start putting these smaller things right that you did wrong, like that, you know, starting with a good offensive series, getting multiple first downs, you know, start seeing if you can get a few turnovers on defense, try and win these smaller battles before you come to the greater one, and start making sure that, you know, you learn as much as you can from this game if the result doesn't necessarily go your way.
Yeah, that's it. It's about I know it's not the same level it was last season. The Eagles hammered us in regular season, home and away. And then the bowl game, we changed things about, and it was a completely different game. We had them in the first half basically, but then it just came down to bodies really, which I hope UL can do the same sort of thing, keep it tight in the first half, and probably bodies and experience will do it in the second half. But for the league's sake, I hope UL can give it a go in the first half anyway.
Yeah,
but I can't say anybody. I just can't say them pepping the Rebels if they do. Happy days, but I just can't say it.
And then that's very quickly one word answer. We all going Rebels this week?
Yep.
Yeah. All right then. We'll try and get these next two games in. We want to give decent time, of course, Alex, to your game as well. That is the first of the Division 1 games. Craigavon Cowboys at home to the Louth Mavericks. My game of the week outside of the Rhinos game, one that I wish it was up in Louth so that I could actually go to it, but traveling the day after a game up to Craigavon is not something that I particularly want to do. How are the lads feeling ahead of this game?
Yeah, I think we're all really, really looking forward to it. I mean, we've both had our first game of the season, so you'd like to think that both teams are more in flow. I always, as I said earlier, I think your first game of the season is never where you're at your peak. So I'd like to think that both teams are really fired up for this. A great test of where we both are. And then whoever does lose on Sunday, it's sort of a good measure of knowing where you need to get to by the time we play each other again in May, and possibly again then in the playoffs. You never know. I think it will be an exciting game as well. Two quite different styles. Peter threw up 6 touchdowns at the weekend before last, so we'll be trying not to let 6 touchdowns in through the air, and I'm sure they'll be trying not to let 200 yards on the ground like we had against Wexford. So two very different styles of playing. I think it'll make for a great match, and hopefully we come out on top.
Yeah. Lads, do we have any thoughts on this game before we get into predictions?
I think it's going to be a great measure of where the bar is in Division 1. I think these are most people's 1 and 2 on the power rankings. I think looking forward to the other game as well. I think the 4 games, with the greatest respect to the other 4 teams playing on Saturday, it doesn't tell us where everybody is in Division 1. And certainly I think yourselves and Kildare Crusaders will have their eye, and actually all teams will have their eye on the top of the division at the moment in Division 1. But it gives us a great idea, these 4 teams now playing, where they're going to settle down. I think it's not only about the victory. I think, as maybe Alex sort of alluded to, it's also how you play and how you get the job done. I don't think, for instance, a really close loss sets anybody back, but it tells you what you're good at and where you're weak at. And having that early in the season can be super important as well for making a big playoff drive towards the end of the season. So I think it's a really exciting 4-game slate, and particularly the Sunday slate of games. It's going to be really tell us a lot about Division 1 very quickly.
Yep. Kind of just building on what Fionn said, we're expecting to see these 2 teams play again in the playoffs at some point. So whatever the outcome is on Sunday, I don't think it's going to phase either of the teams, win or lose. They'll just be looking forward to the next time that they have to play. One thing I will say is Loughran has started out in mid-season form already, 6 touchdowns, 300 yards. That's going to be tough to stop. So it'll be interesting to see what Louth do on defense to kind of maybe put a bit more pressure on them than the Vipers did. And it'll be a fascinating game to watch.
Mm-hmm. Ross, as a keen observer of this game, obviously, what are you expecting to see, or what do you think is going to see? Is this going to be the sort of battle between the top 2 sides in the division? Maybe an early look at a possible bowl game. Obviously, myself and yourself are hoping that's not the case. But is it a case also that we're getting this game a little too early in the season? Maybe when it is mid-season, where both teams are a little warmer, it would have been a better matchup. Maybe like the lads are saying, maybe we won't get a true indication this early in the season of where both teams are.
Well, I suppose that's the benefit of them playing each other twice. I know the second game is the last regular season game, isn't it?
No, it's in May. I think we played the Rhinos last game of the season, so it's mid-May, I think.
So yeah, that one in May could be a big one, depending who wins this weekend. No, I think it's going to be tight. I think it could come down till an interception late in the fourth quarter. That sort of game. Both.
You're trying to say an Alex Sims interception late in the fourth quarter?
You never know. It could be his brother. Yes, it could be somebody. You never know who. And then the Cowboys have brought back a few players who used to play as well. So it would be definitely interesting. I would love to try to talk the wife into going on traveling till it, because it's only about 40 minutes for me. But being away all day playing on Saturday, I don't think that's going to happen.
I think it's actually not down in People's Park either, was it? Is it Tully-ish or something?
Yeah,
yeah.
It's like, and it looks like it's an asshole of nowhere.
It is in the middle of nowhere.
It's like south of Portadown, Lurgan direction. So
it's literally it's only 35 minutes away from us in Dundalk. So we're
it's outside the Pale. That's all I know.
So, yeah, it'll be definitely interesting there.
Right, let's get into predictions then for this one. Ross, we'll start with you first on that one. Who are you going for in this game?
It is tricky. They're both coming off fairly good offensive displays. I think I'm gonna say the Mavericks.
Okay, Rain.
Yeah, I think the Mavericks are going to be able to shorten that game on Lochran just by running the football. Obviously, big display on the ground there in their first game, so I'm gonna roll with the lead Mavericks as well on this one.
I'm gonna stay home, go with the Mavericks as well with our man.
Alex, do I even need to ask?
We're playing in a GA club, so I give a GA score. I'd say Mavs 315 to Cowboys 2. I say that kind of because we're playing a GA club, and hopefully most of the Cowboys won't understand what that score means, so we'll get too much of a slagging on Sunday.
Yeah, it like Ross said, it's a tough one. With this thing where you only play a couple of teams twice a year, I like these like little mini series that teams have. I think you guys will split that series, but I think you'll get them back in May. I think maybe this game might be a game to learn for you guys, and then go back and write things for the next one. So I'm gonna go Cowboys. It's gonna be close. Again, I think there'll be 3 points or less in it. Right, I think it's going to be a very, very close game. It's going to be a very entertaining game. Again, I'm a little pissed off that I cannot go up there, or will not go up there, because I'm probably going to be in bits on Sunday, so I'm not going to do it. Last game, very intriguing game for me. Just observing it. That is, of course, the Wexford Eagles at home to the Razorbacks. One of those matchups that I've looked at, and you wouldn't think much of it, but there is a lot that can go into it. We spoke about it a few weeks back, that this is a game that will give a true insight into both teams and to where they will end up this year. Yes, the Eagles lost week 1, but this game will sort of tell us if they are going to be a true, bowl playoff contender, or we think that they will be more likely to contend for the Shield this year. Lads, what do you think?
I think you can say
same
the
with the Razorback side, I should say.
Yeah,
same with the Razorbacks. I mean, for both teams, it's a good indication. Almost a early season playoff game, you could say.
Yeah, well, look, it's a great yardstick, as I said. I think both teams will be wondering where exactly they stand. Razorbacks had a great win, proud of it, but at the end of the day, the Jets are probably going to be at the opposite end of the table of where the Razorbacks fancy themselves to be. So now you're going to have to do it against a team that most people consider to be at the cutting edge. And so you got to measure yourself up. I think it's one of those games. If you're not excited to play this game as a Razorback player, it's the game you got to get up for. And on the flip side of the matchup, the Eagles are going to make sure that it was a blip in week 1 and that they got to come off the gates and come out of the blocks strong, and really put a marker down to the rest of the teams to reaffirm that they're worthy of their high ranking coming into the season.
Yeah, I agree. I think Razorbacks winning would really be setting them up great for a playoff challenge. You know, if they can win that game, go sit at 2-0 there, and either the Crusaders or the Rhinos will have an L against their name, or at least a tie, if not an L. So that kind of already looking at the table, then they're set up in a strong position against the teams they're challenging for those playoff spots. Whereas with a loss, I think that you know, even this early stage, that kind of looks a little bit less likely. So I think they'll be well up for this one. They've had plenty of time to rest from their win. I mean, probably since the second quarter of their game, they've had a chance to rest. And they'll be going down. I think from listening to a rival podcast, we will not be named. A couple of the Razorbacks lads have accommodation booked down in Wexford and are staying there the night before, the Saturday night. So they're not taking it lightly by any means either. They'll be looking forward to getting down there and playing them. Eagles, on the other hand, they'll be looking to build off how they ended their game against us, get their offense going a bit quicker, and they can really, you know, stay in this game. So I think it's going to be a really close one.
Yeah, I mean, Alex hit the nail on the head there. We know that the Razorbacks, based on their first game, are able to run up a score. So the Eagles do need to start quicker than they did against the Mavericks. And I think, you know, Coach Klatt comments after the game said basically he was not happy with how things started. They could have played better. And I think he'll be really drilling that into his team at the moment. So I don't expect the score to get run up in the first half, but they do need to be wary of that team because the Razorbacks do have weapons, and if utilized correctly, they can score big points. So it's going to be an interesting game. I can see it being a very, very tight one as well.
Yeah. Ross, what do you think ahead of this game? You're on mute, I think, my friend.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah,
there you go.
You know, I don't know what happened. I think I hit the lead there by mistake. No, it's definitely a bit tight now. So well, I know what Alex said about the fear of the Razorbacks going down to stay, but going by that podcast, they couldn't find anywhere to stay. They're staying away down south of Gorey. They found somewhere, I think, 90 minutes away. So they aren't even that close. But at least said it's still 90 minutes closer than what they are. See, I didn't only really seen the Eagles last night. I didn't really see much of the Razorbacks. Only seen them against the Jets at Antrim Forum, and that was a blowout. Like, so it will be interesting if the Razorbacks can get the ball to Big Stu and Duncan, the other tight end, if they can get the ball out to them quickly, I think that will help them. Because going by the Eagles last season, I don't know what they've done against you, Alex. They basically were rushing 6 boys, 7 boys every snap. So if the Razorbacks can get the ball out quick, they will have a chance. But I could definitely see this being a tied game. Definitely could.
Okay. Well, listen, it's our last prediction of the night. We've made it here. Let's. Ross, you were our guest this week, so I'll let you go first on this one. You said you could see it as a tie game, but are you going to call it a tie game?
Yeah, I'm going to call it a tie.
Read.
I don't like upsetting the Eagles 2 weeks in a row, so I'm going to go Eagles.
Alex, you love upsetting the Eagles 3 weeks in a row now at this stage. So
yeah. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to say Razorbacks 28-24.
I'm going to go Eagles, 1-score game, maybe 3 points in it. I don't want to disrespect the Razorbacks lads, but the reality is the two first games that we have to judge off, there were different levels of opponents. So I'll be definitely reevaluating the Razorbacks after the game. I haven't written them off by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm going to go with the Eagles for this week.
Okay. I'm going to agree with you, Fionn. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I'm going to go with the home advantage. They finished the game well against the Mavs, like Alex said. We know what their attack is like, their offense is like. All of us actually have played that Eagles offense, so we know exactly what it's like. The Razorbacks haven't. And you can watch tape, but until you actually experience it, I think it's quite tough. So I think it might take a bit of time to get used to it. And by the time they do, maybe the Eagles are a little too far ahead. I still think it's going to be a score in it. Maybe, 5 to 7 points or something like that. Something in between. But yeah, I'm going to go with a Wexford Eagles win. I
like that image, Dara, of just the Razorbacks defense just standing mouth the gape as the Eagles line up with 4 men directly behind the center.
We honestly, we done that. They scored a touchdown against us, and we were on the sidelines just being like, "What? Like what?" Yeah. But it took us 2 games against them to figure out, right, if he's doing that, that's the way it's going. Like you need to study them to know what they're doing, because it is so different compared to everybody else in the league.
Yeah, it is. And that's the thing, you can put as many people in the box to try and stop that run, but they've got some really talented wide receivers now as well. Especially what's his name? Was it Luke? Fitzgerald?
Yeah,
Luke Fitzgerald. Who scored touchdowns for fun last year. He's already scored 1 this year. So, it's not just a running game you have to keep an eye on. It is the passing game too. And look, no disrespect to the Razorbacks defense. They've got some really good players on that line, especially the likes of Danny Mull. And their offense, like he says, you've got Stu there. You've got a decent O-line there. They do like to disguise some blitzes on it. Wexford do when they do come at you. So that it's going to be tough. But like I said, I think it's an Eagles by 1 score that will edge the game for them. Lads, we made it to the end. That was some preview. I thank you all for coming on. Ross, especially to you as well. Best of luck on Sunday. Hopefully you get the right result. Saturday. Sorry, it's in my head. Thank you for that. Hopefully you get the right result. And thanks.
Good luck on Sunday with convincing your wife to come down to Armagh to watch the game.
Leave her in a Rushmere, maybe.
Yeah. Loving just going out for to get some milk. I'll be back in a few hours. Fionn, I would say good luck, but I say good luck at the wedding.
Yeah, good luck to my men, for sure. Well, they're not my men. The men that I follow. Just be so careful not to disrespect people.
Well, look, that's the problem now with being on a team that's actually, that's really in the picture now. This shit. No, obviously disrespect to the Pirates. But Rain, good luck with the weekend.
Thanks.
This is one of those rare weeks that everybody's playing, and just I'm sorry, Rain. I know you'd love nothing more to be out there and playing this week as well. But look, listen, sort out the ankle first, and then get back playing for sure next year. And Alex,
there's them bastards up north who did it to me as well. The Giants. So
what do I do?
I think it was that 21 on a corner blitz, was it?
That possibly was.
If he had the ball in his hand, then maybe it was me.
Yeah. And Alex, of course, as well. Good luck on Sunday. I got that
Thank
one
you.
right now. Definitely Sunday. Hopefully for a positive result. We'll all come on the show next week, and we'll all be delighted with all collecting the W's, fingers crossed. But that's where we're going to end this edition of the show. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to us on YouTube under Center Podcast. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure when we are going live, you leave comments, or if you have any questions during the show, you do it there as well. Instagram, Twitter is the same at Under Center Pod. The podcast of this will be available to listen to on the go. Apple's podcast, Spotify, wherever you listen to them, it will be there. Thank you very much for tuning in this evening. We'll be back again next week reviewing all of these games. But until next time, stay safe and we will see you soon.